Welcome to our new video, and in this video I'm gonna talk about factorial. Let me first define what the factorial is. Basically, factorial is a function we denote it by the symbol n and stress mark, and this is, like we said, the function that multiply all natural numbers from our chosen number n down to number 1. So basically, let me give you some examples, and our examples could be, for example, factorial of number 5 or factorial 5, which is then calculated as multiplication of all natural numbers from our chosen number, which in this case is number 5. So we multiply 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, as we said, down to number 1. So for example, factorial 8 is then equal to 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and for example, a factorial 1 is equal to 1 because we start with 1 and we multiply this just by nothing or just by 1, so factorial 1 is equal to 1. There is one let's say rule about factorial, and you can simply write 5 factorial by using, for example, 3 factorial, because if you think about the multiplication given here, 5 times 4 times 3 and so on and so forth, you can simplify this by writing 5 times 4 times 3 factorial, which means instead of writing the multiplication from number 3 down to number 1, this multiplication is really represented as 3 factorial, because 3 factorial is equal to 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, the same thing applies if you want to write 5 factorial by using the 4 factorial. Then it's gonna be like multiplication of 5 times 4 factorial. And if you think about this in a manner of let's say n factorial, where n is any given number, then you can write n factorial as, and now let me denote it like really, n times n take away 1 times n take away 2 and so on and so forth, till you will come to number 1. But you can write it a simpler way by using the rule which I gave you for number 5. You can simply write n factorial as n times n take away 1 factorial, which is also equal to n times n take away 1 times n take away 2 factorial, and so on and so forth. It depends where you want to finish. Basically, you will see what I'm talking about in a couple of minutes when we will calculate some exercises. Okay, so this is the rule to calculate, for example, n factorial, also 5 factorial or 15 factorial can be calculated this way, and so on. Now there is one, let's say, tricky rule or fact, and it is generally agreed that 0 factorial is equal to 1. So please remember, factorial of 0 is equal to 1. There is, let's say, like tricky thing how you can, I don't want to say prove, but think about it, how you can get the fact or come to the fact that 0 factorial must be equal to 1. And a good example and explanation for this from my point of view is that we will start with the fact that 3 factorial is equal to 3 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 6, and we will go down, and let's go down. Okay, so basically 2 factorial is equal to 3 factorial over 3, which is true because this is equal to 6 over 3, which is equal to 2. And basically, if you think about this factorial and simplify this fraction, like 3 times 2 times 1 over 3, these 2 3's will cancel each other, and it is quite clear that 2 factorial is really equal to 2, and we know that this is really like true. So 1 factorial can be calculated by using the same procedure, 2 factorial over 2, which is definitely equal to 1 for the same reasons as above. So 0 factorial should be equal to 1 factorial over 1, and this is definitely equal to 1. Okay, so this is kind of, let's say, evidence or proof but not like mathematical proof that it really looks like 0 factorial is equal to 1. Okay, now let's have a look on couple of exercises, and let's do a couple of calculations. So let's start with something which is easy. We have to calculate with factorials and simplify to the basic form. 14 factorial over 12 factorial is equal to. Now in this exercise I'm gonna explain you little bit like slowly and in more details what's going on before I'll show you the easiest way how to calculate. Basically, from the definition, it means that 14 factorial can be written as multiplication of all these numbers from 14 down to 1, so times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over, and let me start here, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And as you can see, you can cancel a lot of numbers from this multiplication. You can see that 12, 11, 10 and so on and so forth down to number 1, they will cancel each other, and the result after cancelling all these numbers is 14 times 13, which is equal to 182. Okay, but instead of writing something like this, you can write it simpler way by using the rule we wrote above. So let me just show you how is it done? So it means it's 14 times 13 times 12 factorial over 12 factorial, and as you already know, these are the same numbers, so this fraction and even with factorials it works the same way as with the, let's say, normal numbers, but factorial is also the number, so at the very end it's really normal number. So 12 factorial over 12 factorial will cancel each other, and again you will get the result 14 times 13, which is equal to 182. Okay, now let's do a couple of more exercises with the factorials and numbers, and then we will go to some expressions and we will simplify the expressions, but maybe we will do it in the next video. So let me just calculate for you, or let's calculate for us something like this: 8 factorial over 4 factorial plus 4 factorial is equal to, and now again our goal is to simplify the fraction or the expression here, like to get rid of some numbers. So as you can see 4 factorial and 4 factorial is here, and of course in 8 factorial the 4 factorial is hidden. So the clever idea now, I think, is to write 8 factorial as 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial, and now if you have a look at the expression in the denominator of our fraction, you can simply write this as 2 times 4 factorial, okay, because 1 times 4 factorial plus 1 times 4 factorial is really 2 times 4 factorial, and now you can see that these 4 factorials will cancel each other, and you can also see that number 2 can be simplified or cancelled with let's say for example 8, or you can even take 6, and this is then gonna be 4. So now our result is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4, which is equal to, and let me just try, this one is 20 times 6 is, no, this one is 42, this one is 20, so 2 times 42 is 84 times 10, so it is equal to 840. Now let's go through one more example. For example, 8 factorial over 4 factorial times 4 factorial. Please denote this is a little bit this is something else than it was before, so you can again write 8 factorial as 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial over 4 factorial times 4 factorial, and these two will cancel each other. But now you can simplify this fraction even more, because 4 factorial, now it makes sense to write it to write it as multiplication, or as the product of the multiplication of numbers 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, because now you can see that 4 times 2 is equal to 8, so you can cancel, and also 3 is like the divisor of number 6, then it's gonna be 2, so our result is at the very end 7 times 5 times 2, which is equal to 35 times 2, and this is definitely 70. Let me just show you like the last example, and let's take something a little bit more complex. So it's gonna be something like this: 3 over 5 factorial, take away 20 over 7 factorial plus 2 over 6 factorial. Now, to adapt these three fractions, you have to find the common denominator, which is the lowest multiple, and in this case you should realize that it's gonna be 7 factorial. Why is it so? Because 7 factorial is 7 times 6 times 5 factorial, okay, and 6 factorial is 6 times 5 factorial. So it means our first fraction must be multiplied, like the numerator and the denominator, by 7 times 6, okay. So let's do this. 3 times 7 times 6, so this is really like my first fraction, okay, this one. Now the second numerator is gonna be negative 20, nothing to be multiplied by because 7 factorial is in the denominator, plus 2 times 7, this is it, okay. So let's find out what is the result, and let me just check if there is something we can simplify, but actually I don't see anything like this. So let's do this this way. 7 times 6 is 42, and 42 times 3 is 42 times 3 is 126, so it's gonna be 126, take away 20 plus 14, so 20 plus 14 is to take away 6 over 7 factorial, which is 120 over 7 factorial. Now I'm pretty sure this fraction can be simplified, so the best way how to do it is to write number 120 as the prime numbers, which is 2 times 60, which is 2 times 30, which is 2 times 2 times 3 times 10, which is definitely 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So let's see what that means. It's gonna be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 over 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Good news is that we will get rid of number 5. Good news is that we will get rid of number 6. And good news is that there is one more number 2 to be get rid of this, and also one more, and the number 2 remains. So basically you can see this can be simplified as 1 over, and 2 times 6 is really 42. So this is the result of doing the addition of these three fractions. Okay, I think that's all for this video about basic info about factorials and how to calculate with factorials, how you can simplify your calculations. Thanks for watching, and I hope we will see you during our next video. Bye bye.